She Sits Like a Bird, Brooding on the Waters by John Bell and Graham Maule. The stately poem, which tells the story of creation in Genesis chapter 1, opens with a startling and immensely powerful image. The language is multifaceted, and the picture changes under our gaze. The same words can be read as a mighty wind blowing over the deep, dark ocean, God's Spirit hovering over the waters, or a bird brooding on the nest. The translator must choose which words to use, and so what picture to paint. But the hymn writer and poet can be as inventive as the original, and John Bell and Graham Maule make full use of that freedom in this delightful hymn. Strikingly, the spirit is characterized throughout as female. Every couplet begins with she, bearing witness to the fact that the Hebrew word for God's Spirit, ruach, is feminine in gender. And the language of birth and nurturing, which they take seriously in the Genesis narrative, quietly informs the first 3 verses. So we begin with the bird brooding on the waters, singing to the chicks still unhatched or creation still unborn. Spirit and word work together. God's command is brought to birth in the brooding of God's Spirit. But the verse ends in waiting, caught in the pause at the end of Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, before the creative word is spoken. From this point, the hymn sets off, appropriately, a pyrotechnic display of the Spirit's power to startle and transform, as the bird takes to the wings of the wind. There's a reference to John chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. The wind blows where it will, and you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So the dove wings over earth, resting where she wishes. In John chapter 3, Jesus tells Nicodemus that he must be born again, or from above, and the wind-born dove nests in the womb, where birth and rebirth are given value and meaning in potential hidden from our eyes, but nourished by God. Then suddenly it is Pentecost in Acts chapter 2, and we're in the upper room, where she dances in fire, startling her spectators. The spectators are people from every nation gathered in Jerusalem for the feast, and amazed by what they see and hear. Those who have been dumb, silenced by the events recalled in Holy Week, are now released into ecstatic utterance that all can understand. And we are invited to recall the power of the Spirit to inspire all waiting hearts and empower all people kept dumb by oppression of every kind to pour forth speech. The final verse handles the complexities of relationships within the Trinity without seeking to give a complete theological explanation. It is important, however, that it makes this point. The hymn may use unexpected gender language and draw on coruscating poetic imagery, but she is the same Spirit that comes down to us in the ancient theological traditions. There is no sleight of hand. The hymn is firmly rooted in the Christian tradition and in the scriptures that are at the heart of our faith, and to which the Spirit of God is the key. The temptation to write another 4 or 5 verses must have been overwhelming. After all, the Bible employs a huge range of imaginative language about the Spirit of God. If so, I commend these writers, who have given so much to the world of Christian words and music, for their restraint. The Spirit may not be captured, silenced or restrained, but the hymn text gains much from being held within 4 brilliantly constructed verses, which challenge singers to follow for themselves the dazzling pathways that open up in every line. It's a lot of fun to sing. The tune runs and twists, full of joy, and makes it possible to sing quite complex word patterns, like "Nor can she be captured, silenced or restrained," or "Waiting to give birth to what the word will say." They're like tongue twisters, but a delight to sing. And there's plenty of depth for the intellect to engage with, if you've a mind to. The reminder for this comes right at the end, with the words that give the song its title. The spirit above all is enemy of apathy, and so is the hymn. A prayer based on a hymn of Hildegard of Bingen. Spirit and wisdom, riding the circles of air, you hold all things in one living embrace. Your wingtips brush the heavens and feather the earth with showers of blessing, passing like the wind through all creation. We praise you with the joy that you deserve. Amen.